Chapter 1. The Silent Survivor's Refuge. The blackened remains of the Coalition transport ship lay twisted and broken against the jagged crags of Seraph 9, a desolate planet forgotten by all but the most desperate souls. Lieutenant Jason Cade's consciousness flickered in and out like a dying star's pulse, his body battered, his breath shallow, his vision blurred by pain and the overwhelming darkness pressing in on every side. The endless void beyond the shattered hull seemed to mock him with its vast emptiness, a reminder that rescue was a distant hope and survival a tenuous thread. His hand, slick with blood and grit, grazed the scorched metal, a feeble attempt to anchor himself to reality. Every breath burned like fire in his lungs. Every movement summoned a storm of agony that threatened to pull him beneath the veil of unconsciousness. Seraph 9 was not a planet meant for salvation. Its atmosphere was thick with a choking blend of toxic gases and dust storms that swept across barren plains and fractured mountains like vengeful spirits. There were no cities, no signs of civilization, only ruins of ancient alien structures half swallowed by time, and an endless chorus of haunting winds. Jason had crashed here after the final battle of the Outer Rim campaign, a desperate last stand against the relentless Tsar faction, whose brutal conquest had shattered countless worlds. His ship had been the last of the evacuation fleet, torn apart as it descended into this forsaken wasteland. Now, alone and grievously wounded, he faced the merciless silence of the dead world. Desperation drove him to crawl from the wreckage, each agonizing movement a testament to his will to live. The pain in his side was a constant, searing reminder of the shrapnel lodged deep in his flesh, but it was the cold that gnawed most fiercely at his resolve. The sun had long dipped beneath the horizon, and a freezing night settled over the planet like a shroud. Jason's breath crystallized in the frigid air, his muscles stiffening as his strength ebbed. He knew he could not endure much longer without help, but on this planet, help was a whispered legend. And then, through the swirling dust and jagged shadows, a figure emerged, a solitary silhouette that moved with grace despite the hostile terrain. She was like a ghost woven from moonlight and sorrow, a delicate blend of beauty and fragility that seemed almost otherworldly. Her skin shimmered faintly with a cool luminescence, patterned with subtle iridescent scales that caught the faint light and fractured it into ethereal hues. Her hair cascaded like liquid silver, framing a face marked by both resilience and profound sadness. Jason's eyes, heavy with pain and disbelief, locked onto hers, and in that moment a silent understanding passed between them. Two survivors in a universe that had forgotten mercy. "You're hurt, human," she whispered, her voice a soothing cadence that cut through the howling winds. Her sapphire eyes glimmered with cautious compassion, and she stepped closer without hesitation, extending hands that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. Jason instinctively recoiled, instincts honed by war warning him of danger, but weakness betrayed his body, and he could do nothing but accept her approach. There was no fear in her touch, only an ancient power radiating calm and healing. The sensation was unlike anything Jason had ever experienced. The alien widow's hands hovered just above his wound, and then the healing light poured forth, a cascade of shimmering energy weaving through torn muscle and shattered bone. It was neither purely scientific nor purely mystical, a blend of bioengineering and energy manipulation, a sacred art honed by a civilization lost to time. The pain ebbed away as cells regenerated before his eyes, knitting flesh with graceful precision and soothing his ragged breath. But it was not just his body that healed. A warmth blossomed within him, a fragile spark of hope amid the desolation. As she worked, Jason's mind struggled to grasp the enormity of the moment. The alien widow was a legend whispered in Coalition lore, the last survivor of the Seraph clan, a proud and fierce people wiped out by war and betrayal. Feared and shunned by most who crossed her path, she had retreated into solitude, guarding the secrets of her clan and nursing wounds both physical and emotional. Yet here she was, extending kindness to a human stranger, a gesture that defied the cold calculus of survival and vengeance that had governed the galaxy's darkest corners. Her name was Lyra, and as the healing light waned, she helped Jason to his feet, supporting his weight with surprising strength. Her eyes searched his face, reading the pain and determination etched into every line. "You should not have come here," she murmured, voice tinged with both warning and empathy. "This world is cursed, a graveyard for those who fall between the stars." But beneath her words lay a promise. Here, in this barren refuge, Jason might find sanctuary, however temporary. Together they made their way toward the ruins where Lyra had made her home, a shattered citadel of ancient stone and forgotten technology half buried beneath the shifting sands. Within its walls, remnants of her people's legacy whispered of honor and sacrifice, of battles fought beneath twin moons and oaths sworn in the shadows of dying suns. Jason felt the weight of history pressing upon him, a reminder that his own survival was now bound to this alien widow and the fragile hope they nurtured together. In the dim light of the ruined hall, Lyra revealed fragments of her past, a tale of loss and exile, of a clan decimated by treachery and a galaxy unwilling to remember their plight. She feared the world outside as much as she feared the enemies that hunted her, but something in Jason stirred a flicker of trust. Perhaps it was his resilience, or the quiet strength that shone through his wounds. Perhaps it was the shared burden of survival in a universe that had turned its back on them both. As night deepened and the alien stars wheeled overhead, Jason understood that this encounter was no accident. In the vast expanse of space, two lost souls had found each other, not just to survive, but to heal wounds deeper than flesh. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and shadowed by enemies both known and unseen. But for the first time since the crash, Jason felt the fragile stirrings of hope, a chance to fight not alone, but alongside an unexpected ally, the alien widow who feared everyone else but chose to heal him. Chapter 2: Shadows of the Past and the Burden of Trust. The cold silence of the alien ruins enveloped them as Jason Cade, still weak from his injuries, yet galvanized by Lyra's healing touch, struggled to regain some semblance of strength. The ancient fortress, a sprawling maze of crumbled halls and towering monoliths covered in alien glyphs, whispered stories of glory, pain, and betrayal long buried beneath centuries of dust and neglect. Outside, the winds of Sereth, 9 howled like mournful specters, carrying with them the faint echoes of forgotten battles and the cries of lost souls. Yet inside these shattered walls, a fragile sanctuary flickered to life, a fragile alliance between a wounded human and the alien widow who feared everything except the faintest flicker of hope. Jason's body still ached fiercely, every movement a symphony of pain, but his spirit kindled anew by the presence of Lyra. He watched her with a mixture of awe and curiosity. The alien widow who had been spoken of in hushed tones, feared as much for her lethal skills as for the sorrow that seemed to shroud her every step. Her ethereal glow was a stark contrast to the harsh, unforgiving landscape outside, a beacon of life amidst the cold desolation. Yet it was her eyes, deep pools of sapphire flecked with ancient wisdom and guarded pain, that captivated Jason most. Within them danced the flickers of a story untold, a story that seemed as much a prison as it was a legacy. As the hours passed, Lyra began to unravel the threads of her past in a voice as soft and fragile as the whispering winds outside. She spoke of the Sereth clan, proud warriors and healers whose power had once been revered across star systems. They were not just fighters, but guardians of a sacred knowledge that blended technology with biology in a harmony that seemed almost magical. Yet their glory was shattered in a brutal conflict against an insidious enemy known only as the Vornax, a merciless coalition bent on domination and eradication. The war had been swift and devastating. The Sereth were decimated, their temples razed, and their people scattered like ash on the winds of war. Lyra's tale was one of exile and loss. She had survived when others had fallen, not through strength alone, but by retreating into the shadows, embracing fear as both shield and sentinel. The scars she bore were not only on her flesh, but etched deep within her soul. She feared the galaxy's cruel indifference, the endless cycle of violence, and the isolation that came from being the last of her kind. Her solitude was a fortress built of pain and memory, a place where no one else was allowed to enter, until Jason. For his part, Jason wrestled with his own demons. The war he had fled was not just a battle of weapons and tactics, but a conflict that had fractured humanity's very core. Betrayals, shattered alliances, and the desperation of a fading coalition weighed heavily on him. His crash on Seraph 9 was not just a physical downfall, but a plunge into existential uncertainty. Yet, as he listened to Lyra's story, he realized their fates were entwined. Two survivors cast adrift in the void, forced to forge new bonds from the ruins of old worlds. Days turned into nights, and back again, as the harsh reality of their situation settled upon them. Seraph 9 was not merely a barren wasteland. It was a crucible of survival where hostile creatures lurked in the dark, and the very environment conspired against life. Yet within the ruins, Lyra's knowledge of ancient technologies and Jason's tactical experience combined to build a fragile haven. They salvaged remnants of the Seraphi's healing devices, melding them with Jason's limited supplies to craft tools that extended their endurance. Each small victory was a testament to their growing trust, an unspoken acknowledgement that alone they would perish, but together they might endure. Yet trust was a fragile thing, fragile as the dust motes swirling in the pale light that filtered through broken ceilings. Jason struggled to pierce the veil of Lyra's guarded nature, sensing that her fear was not just for herself, but a shield to protect others from the darkness she bore within. He saw glimpses of the widow's torment, moments when her eyes clouded with memories of betrayal, of comrades lost to treachery, and of enemies who hunted her not just for vengeance, but to extinguish the last flame of the Seraph legacy. One evening, as the twin moons rose in the alien sky casting cold silver light over the ruins, an unexpected tremor shook the ground. A distant roar echoed through the valleys, a sound that froze Jason's blood. Creatures native to Seraph 9, monstrous, swift, and merciless, were stirring. The planet was alive with dangers far beyond the ruins, predators drawn by the faint pulse of life they now represented. The time for hiding was over. Together, Jason and Lyra prepared for the inevitable. Lyra's alien abilities, born of a lost technology blending energy manipulation with biological mastery, became their shield and sword. She taught Jason to channel the ship's healing energies in bursts to mend wounds and calm fear. Jason shared his knowledge of human tactics and weaponry, adapting salvaged equipment for their defense. In the crucible of survival, they forged a partnership, one not born of convenience, but of necessity, respect, and a burgeoning sense of belonging. But even as they defended their fragile refuge, the shadow of the war that had torn them both apart loomed larger. The Vornax were not finished. Their scouts prowled the outer reaches of the system, hunting for survivors, seeking to obliterate any remnants of resistance. Rumors whispered through the cosmic void of a human fleet regrouping, of alliances forged in the darkest corners of space, and of a war that would reignite with fury unimaginable. Jason's thoughts turned to his people, to the comrades lost, and those who might yet fight. Lyra's heart, heavy with the weight of her clan's extinction, trembled with the hope that perhaps, through this fragile human-alien bond, the cycle of destruction might be broken. As the nights grew colder and the dangers multiplied, Jason and Lyra found solace in the quiet moments between battles. Beneath alien stars that bore silent witness to their struggles, they shared stories, fears, and dreams. The alien widow who once feared everyone now faced the universe with a tentative courage, bolstered by the human who had stumbled into her life. In their union lay a testament to resilience, a promise that even amidst ruins and darkness, healing and hope could flourish. Their journey was only beginning, a path forged in pain but illuminated by the fragile light of trust. In a galaxy scarred by endless conflict, the story of a hurt human and an alien widow would ripple across the stars, a beacon of survival, unity, and the enduring strength of those who refuse to be forgotten. Chapter 3: Bonds Forged in Fire and Shadow. The harsh days on Seraph 9 stretched endlessly before Jason and Lyra, each one a relentless test of endurance and willpower. The barren planet was a crucible of unforgiving storms, jagged landscapes, and lurking predators that stalked them with merciless intent. Yet amid this desolation, something unexpected began to flourish, a fragile, unspoken bond between two survivors from worlds apart. Jason, once a hardened soldier weighed down by loss and duty, found himself drawn deeper into the enigmatic world of the alien widow, whose fear of others masked a profound strength and sorrow. Together, they navigated the ruins of an ancient civilization, salvaging forgotten technology and piecing together a story of tragedy and hope written in the very stones beneath their feet. Lyra's knowledge of her clan's lost heritage was a beacon in the darkness. She shared with Jason the intricacies of Seraph biotech, the delicate fusion of organic matter and energy that had allowed her people to heal wounds, enhance abilities, and protect themselves from the ravages of war. Watching her summon shimmering tendrils of light that wrapped around his injuries, knitting flesh with a grace that seemed almost sacred, Jason felt a stirring of awe that cut through the despair. It was a power born not just of technology, but of centuries of devotion and sacrifice. Yet beneath her skill and radiance, Jason saw the flicker of vulnerability, the widow's fear that this fragile piece might be shattered by forces beyond their control. Their shared solitude fostered a tentative trust, built upon countless trials in the hostile environment. Together, they ventured beyond the crumbling citadel, braving the brutal terrain to seek resources and answers. The alien wilderness tested their resolve with its bitter cold and venomous creatures, some of which bore hunting patterns too intelligent to be merely instinctual. Jason's military training and Lyra's intimate understanding of the planet's hidden perils allowed them to survive ambushes, navigate treacherous ravines, and evade deadly predators that moved like shadows in the dusk. Each victory forged their partnership stronger, each narrow escape a testament to their growing reliance on one another. But as their physical wounds healed, deeper challenges arose. The memories they both carried scarred by war and betrayal cast long shadows over their days. Jason wrestled with the ghosts of comrades lost in the brutal conflict that had claimed his fleet, the bitter taste of failure mingling with the pain of survival. Lyra's heart was heavy with the sorrow of a vanished people, the weight of centuries of persecution, and the burden of being the last of the Seraph. Yet in their shared stories, they found solace, a recognition that their pain, though born of different stars, was united in its loneliness. It was in these moments of vulnerability that the alien widow who feared everyone else allowed herself to lean on the human who had stumbled into her life. As she spoke, Jason shared his own burdens, the fractured alliances of the coalition, the desperation of a fleet pushed to the brink, and the hope that somehow, through sheer will and courage, they might yet turn the tide. Their stories intertwined like threads in a vast tapestry, revealing that though they hailed from different worlds, their struggles were reflections of the same cosmic dance of light and shadow. In that fragile communion, a spark of something deeper ignited, trust tempered by respect, hope nurtured by shared resilience. Yet, peace was a fleeting illusion. The predators of Seraph 9 grew bolder, their incursions more frequent and coordinated. Strange phenomena rippled through the planet, mysterious energy pulses that disrupted communication devices and altered the landscape. Lyra's instincts told her that the ancient war was not truly over. Remnants of the Vornax forces were still active, hunting survivors and seeking to extinguish the last embers of resistance. The planet itself seemed to bear scars not just of battle but of a deeper, darker power stirring beneath its surface. In the face of these threats, Jason and Lyra doubled their efforts. They scavenged the ruins for relics of Seraph technology devices that could amplify their defenses, weapons that merged organic energy with crystalline structures, and tools that could manipulate the very fabric of their environment. Jason adapted his military training to this alien technology, learning to wield energy blades that shimmered with ethereal light and to channel protective shields that could absorb devastating blows. Lyra, in turn, taught him to tap into the subtle currents of bioenergy that flowed through the planet and her own being, a power that was as much spiritual as scientific. Their partnership became a fusion of human tenacity and alien grace, a living testament to what could be achieved when two worlds converged not in conflict, but in unity. Yet with each step forward, the weight of their mission grew heavier. The Vornax were closing in, their dark scouts traversing the barren wastes like shadows of death. The remnants of Jason's fleet were distant and fractured, their hope dimming with every lost world. The alien widow's fear whispered in the back of her mind, a warning that even their fragile alliance might not withstand the storm to come. Amidst this looming peril, a revelation emerged. Deep within the heart of the ruins, hidden chambers revealed cryptic symbols and star maps that hinted at a path beyond survival, a way to reclaim their dignity and perhaps turn the tide of the endless war. The Seraph had left behind secrets, ancient knowledge encoded in light and matter, waiting for those brave enough to unlock it. Together, Jason and Lyra set forth to decipher these mysteries, their quest becoming not just for survival, but for redemption. As the twin moons cast their pale glow over the desolate planet, two figures stood united against the encroaching darkness, one human, battered but unbroken, the other an alien widow, feared by many but bound by hope. Their journey was far from over, but in the fragile light of trust and courage, they carried the promise of a new dawn. Chapter 4. The Light Beyond the Darkness. The endless nights on Seraph 9 gave way to a fragile dawn, pale and hesitant, filtering through the fractured skies like a tentative promise. Jason and Lyra stood together on the windswept plateau overlooking the ruins of the ancient Seraph citadel, their silhouettes etched against a horizon that was both alien and achingly beautiful. The weight of their journey pressed upon them, countless battles fought in shadows, the scars of loss, and the fragile hope that the future might yet be reclaimed from the desolation. But beyond the ruins, beyond their fragile sanctuary, the true battle was just beginning, a confrontation not just for survival, but for the soul of two worlds intertwined. The discoveries deep within the ancient chambers had unlocked secrets that transcended time and space. The Seraph had been custodians of a power unlike any known to humanity, delicate harmony of biotechnology and energy manipulation capable of reshaping realities. They had crafted not only weapons but a beacon, a vessel of light designed to pierce the darkest reaches of the cosmos and rally allies in the face of annihilation. This beacon, once dormant beneath centuries of dust and war, was now stirring, its signal pulsing through the void, a call to arms and to unity. Jason, now tempered by hardship and the alien wisdom imparted by Lyra, understood the enormity of their charge. Humanity was no longer a solitary flicker in the vast night, but a rising star, bound to the legacy of the Seraph and the destiny of the galaxy. Yet the path forward was fraught with peril. The Vornax, relentless and merciless, had not forgotten their prey. Their dark fleets prowled the edges of the system, their intent clear and unyielding. The war that had shattered civilizations was poised to ignite anew, and Jason and Lyra's fragile alliance would be the spark that either ignited salvation or consumed them all. Within the citadel, Lyra's healing light now flowed not just to mend wounds, but to rekindle ancient defenses. The bioenergetic shields that once guarded the Seraph's stronghold shimmered back to life, enveloping their sanctuary in a protective aura. Jason's tactical mind orchestrated the integration of human and alien technology, transforming salvaged weaponry into a formidable arsenal. Together, they prepared not just for defense, but for a counterstrike to carry the beacon's light across the stars and rally scattered allies in a fight that transcended species and sorrow. But it was in the quiet moments, away from the clash of preparation and impending war, that the true depth of their bond revealed itself. Beneath the twin moons, beneath the vast canopy of alien stars, Jason and Lyra shared their hopes and fears. The alien widow who had once feared all had found in the human a mirror of resilience and compassion. Jason, hardened by loss, found in Lyra a reason to believe not only in survival, but in redemption. Their partnership was a bridge between worlds, a testament that even amid war and ruin, trust and healing could flourish. The decisive moment came with the arrival of the Vornax scouts, dark ships cutting through the void like shadows of death. The battle was fierce and unrelenting, a tempest of energy blades, shimmering shields, and desperate courage. Jason led with the fierce determination of a soldier who had seen the abyss and refused to fall. Lyra wielded her bioenergetic powers with devastating grace, her healing light becoming a weapon that turned the tide and saved lives in moments of despair. Their combined strength was more than the sum of their parts. It was the embodiment of unity against oblivion. As the last of the Vornax retreated, broken and battered, the beacon within the citadel pulsed brighter, its signal a clarion call that resonated across the stars. Reinforcements arrived, fleets from distant colonies, scattered remnants of humanity, and allied species drawn by the light of hope. The tide of war was turning, but the cost had been great. Jason and Lyra stood amid the ruins, their hearts heavy with loss but buoyed by the dawn of a new era. In the days that followed, the alliance forged on Seraph. 9 became a beacon for all who resisted the darkness. Jason's name became a symbol of human tenacity. Lyra's a testament to the power of trust and healing beyond fear. Together, they led the charge to reclaim shattered worlds and build a future where old wounds might finally heal. And beneath the alien skies of Seraph, 9, where once only shadows lingered, the light of a new dawn shone bright, unyielding and eternal. The planet Seraph, 9 had long been a tomb for forgotten legacies and abandoned dreams, a silent witness to the merciless tides of war and the fragile hopes that struggle to endure amidst desolation. Yet, in the heart of its ancient ruins, beneath alien skies awash with twin moons, a story of resurrection unfolded, one woven from the threads of pain and courage, fear and trust, humanity and alien heritage entwined in an unbreakable bond. Jason, Cade, and Lyra, the alien widow who had once feared everyone but now chose to heal a human stranger, stood at the cusp of a new era. Their destinies merged as they prepared to face a darkness that threatened to consume not just their world, but the very stars themselves. The nights on Seraph, 9 were colder than any Jason had endured, the wind cutting through armor and scales alike, carrying whispers of a cosmic struggle that stretched beyond time. In the glow of makeshift fires and the bioluminescent light of ancient Seraph technology, revived by Lyra's delicate touch, they planned their next moves. The discoveries deep within the Citadel's sanctum had revealed more than ancient weapons or lost knowledge. They uncovered a beacon, a legacy of the Seraph designed to signal allies scattered across the galaxy, to ignite hope where despair had taken root. It was their last gift, a chance to rally against the merciless Vornax, whose shadow darkened countless systems and whose hunger for conquest seemed insatiable. Jason, once a lone survivor hardened by the brutal realities of war, now found purpose in this alliance that transcended species and history. Lyra's stories of her clan's rise and fall, their mastery of bioenergetic healing and war, painted a cosmos where strength was forged not just in battle, but in compassion and unity. He marveled at how her healing light could knit flesh and soothe spirit alike, a power as vital as any weapon. Yet beneath her radiant power lay a wary heart, a widow burdened by loss, haunted by memories of betrayal and the fear that peace was a fragile illusion. Their alliance was tested in every shadow that moved beyond the ruins, every predator that prowled the wasteland, and every whisper of betrayal from distant corners of the galaxy. The Vornax scouts grew bolder, dark ships streaking across the skies like heralds of doom, intent on snuffing out the last embers of resistance. But with every skirmish, Jason's tactical mind and Lyra's ancient powers wove a tapestry of survival and defiance. They adapted, scavenged, and improvised, turning ruins into fortresses and desperation into hope. Their partnership deepened not only in battle, but in moments of quiet vulnerability beneath the alien stars. One night, as the twin moons cast a silvery glow over the Citadel's fractured spires, Lyra revealed the secret she had guarded most fiercely, the full extent of the Seraph's sacrifice. Her clan had not fallen simply to overwhelming force, but to treachery from within. Allies turned foes, trust shattered like glass. This betrayal had fractured her heart and driven her into exile, a widow feared by all because she bore the weight of a lost people's last hope. Jason listened, his own scars mirrored in her tale, and understood that their union was not just survival, but redemption. Amidst the rising storm, they discovered the beacon was more than a signal. It was a gateway, a transdimensional portal capable of connecting worlds and summoning allies across light years. Activating it required a union of human resilience and Seraph energy, a synthesis only Jason and Lyra could achieve. The ritual was perilous, draining both their strength and their very essence. But it was a gamble they embraced for the chance to turn the tide. As the beacon's energy surged through the citadel, the skies above Seraph, 9 ignited with vibrant auroras, a cosmic symphony announcing their call across the stars. Fleets from distant colonies answered, human survivors hardened by war, alien allies moved by Lyra's ancient legacy, and even renegades seeking purpose beyond endless conflict. Together, they forged a coalition bound by shared hope and fierce determination. The decisive battle that followed was unlike any before. Vornak's forces descended in overwhelming numbers, dark tendrils of destruction poised to consume the fragile alliance. But Jason and Lyra stood at the forefront, their combined power a beacon of defiance. Lyra's healing light mended wounds and lifted spirits, while Jason's strategic genius orchestrated strikes that shattered the enemy's advance. The Citadel's ancient defenses awakened, weaving barriers of energy and life that repelled wave after wave. In the climax of the conflict, Jason faced the Vornak's commander, a being of immense power and malice who embodied the very darkness they fought against. The duel was brutal, a clash of light and shadow that tested every ounce of courage and skill. But with Lyra's healing energy sustaining him and the strength of their alliance behind him, Jason prevailed, shattering the enemy's hold and driving the darkness back into the void. Victory was bittersweet. The cost was high, the scars deep, but a new dawn broke over Seraph 9. The alliance, forged in fire and shadow, stood ready to rebuild and defend not just a planet, but a future. Jason and Lyra, once survivors burdened by loss, became symbols of unity and hope, a testament to what could be achieved when fear was met with compassion and despair met with courage. Beneath the twin moons, as the first light of peace warmed the alien horizon, Jason and Lyra embraced the uncertain future. The galaxy was vast and perilous, but together, they carried a light that could pierce the darkest night, a light born from healing, trust, and the unyielding will to survive. And so, from the silent ruins of a forgotten world, a new chapter began, a story not just of war and loss, but of love and redemption, of two souls who dared to heal and hope against all odds.